Hi there, Nick Blurton, RBS. My question goes to Carol. Just asking, how do we incentivise complaint handlers to deliver the best outcomes for both the business and the customer? Are there any other industries that are doing this particularly well?
I suppose it's not something that you hear a great deal about, that you're incentivising people. It's usually about equipping them with the correct skills and actually training and developing people and, well, recognising what they're doing. I haven't seen a great deal written around the kind of incentives area in relation to that aspect. But I think if you empower people, they will be able to handle the complaints effectively. I mean, very often one of the problems is that people at the front line are not sufficiently well empowered to be able to respond effectively. And that puts them in a very difficult position. They're always having to refer upwards to people. And that can be unsatisfactory if the person upwards is not available to deal with the issue. So I think you need to get the level of empowerment of staff right, and then you'll get a better result for the consumer, and that will reflect well on the organisation.
From a banking perspective, either Douglas or Paul, I mean, I know obviously it's difficult for bankers to talk about incentives without getting into trouble, but hopefully this is one area where you may be able to offer us a bit of insight.
Yeah, I think you've got to be careful that you don't drive dysfunctional behaviour as well. You know, particularly if you're talking about large volumes of complaints and you're focusing on turnaround times and things like that. So it is a tricky area, and it really is coming down. I suppose if you were linking into the likes of the Ombudsman's upheld rate, if they're winning and or coming out in favour of the bank, it maybe shows that we're getting things right as far as the decision goes. It maybe shows that our engagement in bringing the customer along with us isn't quite right. But I think the driving dysfunctional behaviour is a big one that you've got to be careful of.
Paul, have you, without naming any organisations, have you seen any particularly any good practice in terms of how this area can be incentivised?
Do you know what I have? And the incentivisation absolutely goes down to not making sure we have the wrong behaviours, and more particularly not tying it to reward and throughput or whatever. Where I've seen it starting to work really well is where firms have started to look at incentivisation around the individual staff members' route to competency, and once they become competent, staying competent. So equipping them with the skills, behaviours, understanding, knowledge that allow them to answer complaints in the most appropriate way. And so it's really sort of internalising on the people themselves and making sure that there's the appropriate training and competency schemes in place to deliver that route to competency and then keep people there. So it's all about them rather than the number of complaints they deal with, the number of uphelds they do, whatever.
Well, thanks. That's very interesting insight. Thank you.